They found the chest full of notes, diaries, drawings, poems, and love letters. Anne commented, "Maybe we are meant to broaden our knowledge, not our pockets." They both laughed and decided to read a book each day. Of course, that would be after the lovemaking had exhausted them both. Amongst the books was a large stack of letters bound with a blue ribbon. Anne began reading one. "Joseph, listen while I read this to you," she said. But Joseph was engrossed in reading a diary that he had found. It was getting to the juicy parts and he didn't answer. Anne was clearly not used to being ignored. "Joseph, did you hear what I said?" "Oh, sorry, but I think we should both read this. What I'm reading, I promise you, is like what is happening to us. Let's read everything that's here and start with the first diary. Is that okay?" "You win, only because I love you," she replied. The diary was a wonderful romance about two people so deeply in love that every word was like poetry. They talked about how they felt like part of the story. Their lovemaking was deep and yet so open, with explicit sexual activities taking place right in that very cottage. Joseph's emotions started taking over and began to run wild. He wanted to reenact what Anne was reading. "Oh God," he said, "I've got to touch you." And he began caressing Anne's body, touching her with such passion. He felt a strong bond developing between them, and he never wanted to leave her side. When they next returned to the cottage, they started reading another set of diaries. These were rather disturbing. They were actually about Louise and Joseph's father's business dealings. It appeared the cotton mills were making millions, but they were virtually run on child labour. Louis controlled the labour and set up the housing for the workers, while Joseph's father supplied the money but kept his hands clean. This was complicated, and the more they read, the worse it became. Neither of them knew what to do. Anne suggested they put it behind them and say nothing. Joseph's feelings for Anne became stronger as every day passed. He would call on her twice a day, even when her husband was home. It did not deter him at all. Joseph's taste of love was becoming more persistent every passing day. Anne had a deep passion for Joseph and the love and attention he lavished on her, but she was quite aware of her station in life, being married to one of the wealthiest men in England, and knowing she would undoubtedly outlive him and become a very wealthy woman in the not-too-distant future. Louis at first ignored the boy and brushed him off as a slight annoyance. But as time passed, Joseph's persistence grew. Louis began to notice a change in Anne and found her not as attentive as he required. He also began to notice how much time the two were spending together, especially on their early morning rides as they rode off into the marshes like the wind, bubbling over with laughter and excitement. Louis found himself becoming uneasy at the closeness of their association. Servants and outsiders were beginning to whisper. Louis decided he had to take a stand on the matter, as there could be no idle chit-chat among the commoners. He called for Anne to come join him for breakfast, which was most unusual, as most of the time he had breakfast at his club in London. He started the conversation. "A man in my position will not tolerate idle talk. I want to put a stop to it here and now." Anne replied, "What idle talk are you speaking of, Louis?" "There seems to be talk of you and young Joseph spending excessive time together. I know he is only a mere boy, but it's time we stop the tongues wagging. You are not to spend any more time with him." "It's only gossip. I enjoy his company. He amuses me. But if you feel uncomfortable, I won't invite him over any more." Is that the last Joseph will see of Anne, or will he find a way to continue their affair? To learn more of Wantonness, go to www.AnnetteKontoleonauthor.com.